Welcome back to Let's Play Gran Turismo 2. No, it is not 2, it's Gran Turismo 4, you fuck-ass. Gran Turismo 4, Part 2, Episode 2. And today, we're actually tackling the A licenses, and this one took me quite a bit longer than the B license did. B license took me about an hour 20 to get all golds. This one took me about 2 hours and 20 minutes. It's like the first half of this license was pretty damn easy, but the second half was like cunt tier. Like cunty cunt. I was stuck on some of them for a long time. But yeah, first two tests are here on High Speed Ring, one of my favorite tracks, returning from Gran Turismo 2. Mitsubishi FTO. Like most other cars in this game, understeer and traction control and stability control. Just gotta take it smooth to the corners. This one was pretty easy. That was my first completed attempt once I learned how the car behaved. And this time you're doing it in a Lotus Elise, rear-wheel drive, mid-engine. So this thing will slide on you with like minimal effort. So you kind of have to be a little bit more careful with this one, but still wasn't that hard. Only took like a couple tries. And yeah, this is pretty much going to be the story for like the first half of this whole license, like I said. And I believe I actually got every guide, like one lap guide run on my first attempt. So that was pretty cool too. This is the final turn at Deep Forest, which is supposed to be a fast corner. But I think they changed it a lot since GT2 and GT3, and now you have to take it a lot slower. Either that or it's just like the new driving mechanics. But yeah, Mitsubishi Eclipse, you gotta slow down a lot more than you think you need to. But that didn't take too long to get that one gold. Same thing here at Suzuka, same kind of corner. You just gotta let off just a little bit, and you're pretty good. Don't remember much about this one. I don't know if I used the brake or not. Looks like I did. But yeah, as soon as you get on the throttle, the car's going to go straight again, and if you touch those cones, it'll fail you. So yeah, another pretty easy gold. First attempt on a one-lap guide run with the Audi A3. Pretty sure it's the A3. Yep. This car is kind of funny behaving. It's all-wheel drive, and it's heavy. So you kind of gotta be careful with the throttle again, but like I said, I did this one super poorly, but I still got it gold by, I think, a decent amount too. So, yeah, not much to say about this one, really. No assists, thank God, because it'll make it a lot more painful and miserable. I think I actually got close to hitting the pace car right here. Or maybe it was on a different test. But yeah, I did this corner super, super terrible. But I still got it gold somehow. Like I said, all these are super easy. Probably because you're slipstreaming off the pace car. That corner was terrible as well. I think this one was okay. Could have been better still. But hey. Pretty much going to be the story with all the one-lap guide runs, really. Probably even the last one on the Nurburgring. I don't remember that one being too difficult last time I did it. Which is IA15. So the second to last one for the International A license. This one was kind of a bitch. And the reason for that is the car. One, it's a Mercedes, so that means two things. One, it's a piece of shit Mercedes. And two, it does not like to steer. As you can tell. This thing's a land yacht. It hates steering. And it's a piece of junk Mercedes. Not really much else to say about it. They all pretty much drive like this in this game. Which is kind of why I hate Mercedes as a whole. Because they remind me of this fucking game. But yeah, after I learned how to use the car and did it smooth through the S-curves, and it wasn't too bad. This one, I think, was like my second attempt just to learn how the car handled at first. And expect to see this track a lot throughout this LP, the Nurburgring, because one, it's a fucking Nurburgring, and two, they wanted to throw it in almost every series throughout this game, so really difficult, really long. I still haven't mastered the track yet. I know like the entire layout of it. I just can't get my fastest possible laps out of it just yet. So here we are now, Capitan. Got some shit in my throat. Excuse me. Not cutting it out like I said. And smack. That test, you pretty much just had to work on controlling the oversteer, as you saw. That one was pretty easy. Time for another coffee break. This time we're knocking over cones in a spiral shape. And using a wheel, it still took me a few tries, but I'd imagine it's a lot easier with the wheel and pedals. Because you can actually control your steering and your throttle much easier with a wheel and pedals than you can with a controller. And that Facebook notification, don't worry, it's just, that was mine. It went off when I was playing. Did it a couple times, actually. You see that on screen I missed those cones, but technically I still hit them somehow with like the back end of my car, so that's cool and all. This track right here is the bane of my existence. I absolutely despise the S's on Suzuka. Luckily, this test wasn't that difficult, because you're only doing the first few turns for some reason instead of the entire S, or instead of the full S's. So yeah, pretty much no braking, just throttle control throughout the whole thing. And now we'd have to do a whole lap around this fucker in a Honda Accord Type R with assists enabled. Yeah. Thank God this wasn't too difficult either. I probably would have gotten it on my first attempt if I didn't go off track at the very last corner. But yeah, this was my second attempt, and I got it by a really good amount too, surprisingly. So this one's actually not too hard. As long as you're probably familiar at this point with all the tests with front wheel drive cars and the assists on, so yeah. I think I handled the S's pretty well. It was just pretty much really with the front wheel drive cars, it's just throttle control. That's pretty much it. Let off the throttle, it'll allow the car to rotate through the turn a little bit more. But as soon as you get on the throttle again, it wants to go straight. So could have done that kink a lot faster. I think I did pretty good right there, minus letting off the gas a little bit. So I'm just gonna try to do some random speaking because, like I said, not much to explain going on here. Blah blah blah. Hapapapagataga. Utilize a slipstream. Yes, speech impediment. Gotta love it. Not cutting it out. You just have to let off the throttle a little bit so you stay on the outside so you can get a good turn in. Which I did an absolutely terrible fucking job at doing right there. That section of the track is always quite difficult for me as well, but the S is just... ugh. The S's make me want to slay a horse. Here we go to that high-speed kink again that we did earlier. This time it doesn't have cones on it, so I mean, you could go into the grass just a tad, but if you go all the way into it, like, you could see I almost lost it right there, so. And on my first attempt, I actually did hit the pace car right there, but it didn't fail me. Instead, it failed me wherever I went into the gravel to the right, so. Yeah. That thing's going to start getting in your way a lot more often. Beat it by pretty much 2 seconds. 2 full seconds on a run that bad. This is where the tests start getting into cunt level difficulty. I just rammed the wall back there. And even with that really poor turn, I still somehow managed to gold it after having trouble with it for like 15 minutes. This one was probably the worst or the second worst out of all of them. Pretty much the thing here is just stay in second gear. Do not drop down to first gear because I could not even get anywhere close to 29.5 whenever I would drop into first gear. And then once I stopped doing that, I got a lot closer to the time, so yeah, just don't use first gear. And don't swing out too far. Smack. Beat it by 1/1000th of a second after trying for like 20 to 30 minutes. If I would have gotten it off by 1/1000th of a second instead of on, I probably would have shoved a toothpick up my toenail or something. This one was also a bitch. This R32 does not like to turn. In fact, I might even go as far to say it's worse than the Mercedes I was driving earlier. When I say this thing understeers, it understeers. A lot. Pretty much the key with this one is like this last corner, you just have to keep it really close to the inside. And you could get a better exit than I did, but I still managed to gold it, so fuck it. This one probably took about 20 minutes as well. And I was just glad I was done with it. This one was still bad, but it wasn't as bad as the last few at least. Back on the Nurburgrings, pretty much starting where we left off on the last Nurburgring test. Voice crack, hell yeah. I need a sip of water. As soon as this one's done, at least. The key to this one is just maintaining your speed through this section. Because those 3 turns, it's pretty much like mild, medium, mild. Like, as far as like, I don't. What is it? A fucking Taco Bell hot sauce? Jesus. But yeah, like, the middle turn in that first section is a lot tighter. So it's going to make you think like you went too slow once you get to the third turn, but fuck it. It just takes a little bit of tries, and the car likes to get loose on you as well. And here's yet another first attempt one-night guide run. I didn't get a glance at what the car was, but front wheel drive, traction control, stability control. Same shit as always. And I think I did pretty poorly on this, but I still beat the time by like half a second or something, so this one shouldn't be too bad. And plus, like, this thing actually likes turning, so going through this section was a lot less painful than in the R32 earlier. I also figured out how to get rid of the get ready to drive text, so the emulator has had some weird shit going on with it recently. First, and I actually forgot to mention this earlier in the video, but my save game data corrupted. which was fantastic. I had to redo the entire B license, and I got everything gold again. And I went into like a practice run on Cita di Aria earlier, just to like show off like the new settings that I put on and everything. Take a screenshot of how the game looked. And the ghost car was working in there, but the ghost cars don't work in the license test, so that's also strange. And I also forgot to mention this earlier, but you might have noticed the game looks a hell of a lot better. That's because instead of upscaling to 1080p, I actually upscaled it, the internal resolution to 4K, and it still made the game look so much better, even though I only have a 1080p monitor. So, essentially, I'm playing Gran Turismo 4 Remastered now, which is awesome, and it runs pretty damn good, too. And, yeah, finally across the line. Over half a second. So, neat. Now, this one was a tie. Like, it was pretty much a tie between this one and the one on Tahiti Maze earlier in the blue WRX. But we were driving the sexiest car ever built. And by that, I'm not exaggerating. The Mazda RX-7 FD. I would do unspeakable things to this car, sexually. And I don't mean that as a joke. But yeah, this car likes to get really tail happy on you, and considering you're on the Nurburgring, where you have weird braking zones and lots of bumps and grass where, like, if one tire touches the grass, you might as well restart because you're gonna get flinged off the road every single time. But yeah, you just pretty much have to maintain stability through all these turns. Make sure you're not braking while turning because that will throw the ass end out every single time. And this one took me a very long time as well. But eventually managed to get gold. Just gotta keep control of the car, pretty much, and maintain speed where you can. And now, time to acquire our A license. And since we got all golds, we're gonna get 3 prize cars again. And these prize cars are actually gonna be a lot more useful than the last set of prize cars we got. So, go ahead and click it, okay? Past me. Pontiac Sunfire for the first one. And this doesn't look anywhere near as ugly as the modern day Sunfire, because that was a concept model that I just got. This thing is pretty damn fast. I'm pretty sure it's all-wheel drive too. So, another little prototype thing, even though it doesn't say prototype. And finally, we have this. The fucking pace car. Except this isn't actually the pace car. It's just like a race car version of it or some shit. I don't know. But later, we actually win the pace car that has the lights on it and everything. I just don't remember what series you win that in. But yeah. There's all the 3 cars and their power ratings and everything. I just go through and show off all the specs, whichever ones actually show the specs at least. And what I don't understand is why a ton of these cars don't show you the actual specs of them. It's just blanked out, but oh well. This thing's going to be pretty damn useful in some parts of the LP. So yeah, stay tuned for the next episode where we tackle IB license. Fuck me.